Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Jaded Blossom has a fun new Octagon Easter release. This is a mini release and there are two new die sets. There's the Octagon dies, the Easter add-on set, and also the Spring Word dies. The Spring Word dies have a fun assortment of spring and Easter words. You'll receive the word die and also the outline. These are fun to mix and match and create different sentiments. And then there's also the Easter add-ons for the Octagon dies. I love all the new dies included in this set, perfect for spring or Easter cards. So you will need to purchase the original Octagon die set, and it also includes the few pieces to make a jack-o'-lantern, but it has those base pieces to create the actual box. There are several add-on sets already. There's the Halloween, two different Christmas add-on sets, and then there's also the Critter add-ons. I love that you can mix and match all the different die sets to create endless possibilities for your treat boxes. Here's a little owl I made using the Critter add-on, and the mustache is Santa's mustache from one of the Christmas add-on sets. For my first project, I'll be assembling one of the Octagon treat boxes. You'll need to cut out two of this main piece. And you can see all those little perforated lines. We'll just fold those in. I have shown this in all of the videos using the Octagon dies, but I thought I would do it again for anybody that's new to my channel. I have some double-sided tape on all of the little tabs. I also like to use some liquid adhesive as well. This will just make sure that that box doesn't come apart. And folding in all those sides and pressing the tabs together. This longer piece, this will be the bottom of the box. So now I'll do the exact same thing to the other side. I like to start with this one piece that has three different tabs. I do the two tabs that are opposite from each other first. And I'll bring up that bottom piece. And now I can remove the release paper on all those remaining tabs. I'll put just that drop of liquid adhesive as well. And then I'll take both of the pieces, put them opposite from each other. So you can see how there's three tabs on one side, three on the other. And then I'll just lay them together, making sure to get everything lined up. I'll put my fingers inside the box and just press those pieces firmly. Now at the very bottom, that little base kind of pops up slightly, so I'm putting a little bit of liquid adhesive in there. And my fingers aren't long enough to reach to the bottom, so I just took my bottle of glue and pressed it down. So I'll set that aside and let it dry and start working on the critter. And for this card, I'll be assembling a little bunny. I'm using some pattern paper from Paper Rose. This is their Watercolour Whimsy collection. This pattern paper is so fun. It almost has the look of felt. I thought a purple bunny would be adorable. I'm using the same shade of purple that I used for the box, for the inside of the ears, and also the nose. And these are all dies that are included with the Easter add-on set. So if you aren't interested in making a treat box, you could use this image and put it on a card. And it does fit nicely on an A2 size card. I used the same sheet of pattern paper for the snout that goes around the bunny's nose. I just chose a lighter shade of the purple. And I will be popping that up using some thin foam squares. So I'll attach that, and I can glue on the little purple nose. So now it's really starting to take shape and look like an adorable critter. I'll be attaching the ears. I'm putting some double-sided tape on the back side. I'll remove the release paper and put just the very end of the ear on that back side. Just enough to make sure it won't come off later. Trying to hold it up to make sure to get them evenly spaced. And then I'll put another piece of double-sided tape on the back just for some extra security so those ears don't fall off. Now I can glue on the eyes. I used white cardstock for the main portion and then some black cardstock for the pupils. So this bunny's looking down. So now the bunny's face is all assembled. I can attach it to the treat box. Remove the release paper on that double-sided tape and then add liquid adhesive. And I love how the little cheeks on the bunny stick over the edge. So cute. For a little embellishment on the bunny, I'll be adding a white flower. I used Jaded Blossom's flower dies. I cut out the flower from some white shimmer cardstock, used some light yellow for the center, and I'll just glue this flower on the left ear. I'm using liquid adhesive, so I am holding that flower there for a moment just to make sure it adheres. So there's my little bunny, and I also made a darling little chick using the same add-ons. The bow is from one of the Christmas add-ons. I thought it'd be fun to add a little bow tie on that chick. And on the chick, I did add the handle. That is optional. For my next project, I'll be assembling a card, and this will be an A2 size. I'll be using the fun little basket. I love this basket. I couldn't resist making one in pink. So I have the front of the basket, and I'll be adhering it to some pink cardstock. I used that main octagon die cut piece for the background. And then I'll add the little scallop piece. Just use a different shade of pink cardstock. Just glue those both together. Putting some double-sided tape on the back just to make sure they'll stay attached. Now I won't adhere the front of the basket down yet, since I will be tucking in the grass and the chocolate bunnies. I'll remove the release paper on that double-sided tape, trying to make sure to get that handle lined up nice and straight. And then I'll add the grass. I'm using 3 different pieces. I cut out 3 chocolate bunnies using some brown pearlescent cardstock. I keep laying that front of the basket onto the background, just trying to make sure to get the placement of the bunnies correct inside that basket. But I'm not pressing firmly on it since I don't want that double-sided tape adhered yet. For the 2 bunnies, I put some foam dimension on the back of their heads, used liquid adhesive for their body. Now for the 3rd bunny, I decided to have a bite out of the ears. I'm using one of the mini tag dies. There's a small scallop circle and it's the perfect size. I taped the die to the bunny, ran it through my die cut machine, and now it looks like somebody bit off that chocolate bunny's ears. So cute. I put a foam square behind the bunny's head, liquid adhesive on the body, and attached it to that background piece. So now I can adhere the front portion of the basket, and I do want those bunnies in front of the handle of the basket, so I did fold them forward. There's also a bow die included in the add-on set, so I cut that out from the same dark pink cardstock. I'll put some double-sided tape on the back side and attach it to the top of the basket handle. And there is my pink Easter basket full of chocolate bunnies. I noticed one spot was pulling apart slightly, so I'm putting a drop of liquid adhesive there. Now I'll be adding my little basket onto an A2 size card. For the background, I have some white shimmer cardstock. For the sentiment, I use some of the spring word dies. This will be Happy Easter. I cut out the main word using that same dark pink cardstock, and then the outline I used some vellum. I'll just glue those 2 pieces together. Now since I did use vellum for the outline, I want to make sure to only put adhesive where that pink word is. That way the adhesive won't show through the vellum. I'll attach my little basket first. I noticed a few areas on the basket where I needed to add some foam dimension and also liquid adhesive. So I did pop up the top of the bow with some foam dimension, and I'll use some very small pieces of foam dimension behind the 2 bunny ears. Then I'll flip over this panel, put some ATG tape on the back, and adhere my card front onto a card base. For the sentiment, I'll be attaching it to the lower portion of the basket. The word Happy will mostly be on top of the basket, but the very lower part of the H will hang off. So I am adding a thin foam square just on that portion of the H. I'll use liquid adhesive, being very careful to only place it behind the pink word. Now for the word Easter, only part of it will be touching the basket. The rest will be off. So I do need to cut out more of the foam squares. And I'm trying to cut some really tiny pieces to make sure that foam dimension doesn't show through from the front. Add that tiny bit of liquid adhesive to the letter T and adhere it to the card. For some finishing touches, I'm using a white gel pen, just adding a few highlights all around the basket, and I'll also put some on the sentiment. With the large image, I decided to keep the background of the card very simple with just that white shimmer cardstock. For embellishments, I will add a few of the Prism gem stickers. These are made by Honeybee Stamps. Trying to figure out placement for that final gem sticker. And there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out. Lots of pink, and the bunny with the ears bit off is absolutely adorable. I did make a matching treat box. I have the same basket front. I just decided to leave off the sentiment. I'll be using the basket die for my next card. However, this will not be a spring or an Easter card. This could work all year round. I decided to use Jaded Blossom's fruit dies and make a little fruit basket. For the little scallop, I used some Sunny Studio pattern paper, it's a little blue gingham design, and I'm layering it on a second scallop. That white scallop, I used some white shimmer cardstock. Just glue those two pieces together, leaving a peek of the white scallop showing. So now I'll start assembling all of the fruit. So I have an apple, some grapes, a banana, and some oranges. And these dies are so easy to use. You just cut them out from different colored cardstock and layer them all together. And I did speed up this portion quite a bit. For the stems, I just cut a very small portion so I could have that brown stem. And then the main background, I decided to go with the color of the fruit. I like how that top piece has the fun stitch detail. I'll add the leaf to the bunch of grapes. Then I'll start working on the orange. Glue down the little stem first, then I can add the leaf. I did notice a little bit of the orange cardstock showing from behind the leaf. So once I attach this, I'm using my scissors and just trimming that tiny bit off. I'll put liquid adhesive on the back and attach the front of the orange. Now for the banana, I'm adding just a tiny bit of black ink to the top of the banana and the lower portion. I used just whatever black ink was still left on my blender brush. Once I have all of the fruit assembled, I can start working on the basket. I'm only putting liquid adhesive along the very outside of that basket weave. I want to be able to tuck some of the fruit inside the basket, and you'll be able to see it from the front of the card. So you can see how the banana and part of the apple and the grape still show through that weave pattern. So I'm laying them in there loosely, trying to make sure placement will still work with the handle of the basket. And then to hold everything in place, I'll put some double-sided tape on the back side. I'll glue this onto the card, making sure to add my handle to the basket first. Few more little pieces of double-sided tape. And this will be another American Standard A2 size card. So once the basket is adhered down, I can attach that scallop border. And then I use that same blue gingham pattern paper for the bow. I'll adhere that in the upper right-hand corner. And I did pop it up using some foam dimension. For the sentiment, I'll be adding Life is Sweet, and this is from Jaded Blossom's Go Bananas stamp set. I put my card in my Mini Misty just to make sure I get a nice solid impression. And I noticed my foam in my Mini Misty slipped, so I was just straightening that. I'm using the dark chocolate ink color from scrapbook.com, and I did need to ink that up a few times. Once I have my sentiment all stamped, I'll be using some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. These are the blue holographic color in the pinstripe style. I'll add just a small strip to both sides of the sentiment. It ties in with the blue pattern paper and adds a little bit of sparkle. Just wrap those ends around the back. Then I'll put some ATG tape on the back of this panel and add my card front onto a card base. To finish off the card, I'll add some more highlights to the fruit, the basket, and the bow using a white gel pen. I love this basket die. Just think of all the different goodies you can put inside this basket. I'll also be using some more of the Prism gem stickers from Honeybee Stamps. Put 2 of them in the upper right hand corner and 1 in the lower left hand corner. So there is my finished card. This is another favorite of mine. It was so fun to make. For my final project, I'll be making an Easter card. I have some white cardstock for the background, using the Salty Ocean Distress Oxide ink color. I have a blender brush and I'm adding just a very light coat to the upper portion of this card, creating a sky. Once I have that finished, I can start assembling the rest of the card. I'll put my card front onto a card base. As you can see, I still have the bottom portion showing in white, but that will be covered up. Here are some of the die cuts I'll be adding to the card, and these are from Jaded Blossom's Rainbow die set. The pattern paper is by Sunny Studio. It's their Flirty Floral Collection. So it's hard to see, but there is a floral pattern in the background. And I just cut out each different arch of the rainbow using a different shade. So I'm starting off with the pink, and I'll glue that down using some liquid adhesive. I do have the very edge on the left going off of the card, but that's okay. I'll be trimming that off. This is a really easy and fun rainbow die set to use. All of the arches line up beautifully together. I'm just making sure not to have a gap between any of the colors. So now that I have my final color on, I'll attach a couple of the clouds, and these are also included in the rainbow die set. There's 4 different clouds. For the first cloud, I'll glue that down using some liquid adhesive. For the second cloud, I am popping it up using some foam dimension, and I have the very edge of the cloud going off the right side of the card. I just flipped over the panel and trimmed that off. For the little grassy hill, this is from Jaded Blossom's Mushroom die set, and I did need to trim down part of my card just to make sure that piece still fit. I'm adding several different eggs, and the egg die is included in the add-on Octagon Easter set. I used some Sunny Studio pattern paper for the eggs. It's their Dots and Stripes Pastels paper, and I love that the colors match perfectly with the rainbow. I'm adding all of the eggs on the hill and also attaching the little grass piece. This is from the Easter Octagon set, putting it in front of some of those eggs. My daughter saw this card and said, I'm very bad at hiding eggs since they're all visible. For the sentiment, I'll be adding Egg Hunt, and I've already glued those pieces together, popping them up using some foam dimension, and I'll attach them on top of the rainbow. To add a little bit of sparkle to the eggs, I'm using a clear glitter brush from scrapbook.com, just brushing it over each of the eggs so they're super sparkly. We'll also use the white gel pen and add some highlights to the eggs and also the grass and the sentiment. It may have been easier to add those highlights to the egg before the glitter brush, but it still worked out fine. I wasn't sure if the white gel pen would smear once I added the glitter brush. Then one final finishing touch, I'll use some more of the Prism gem stickers. Put 2 in the upper right hand corner, a couple around the sentiment, and 1 above the eggs. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out as well. Those beautiful pastel colors are so fun. Now here's another look at the 6 projects I made using Jaded Blossom's brand new Octagon Easter release. They have a fun new Easter add-on for their Octagon treat boxes and also a new spring word die set. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. I always have so much fun using Jaded Blossom's unique products, and the quality is amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.